We recently got some new flooring and it's beautiful. I had been waiting for it and it just changed the whole look of my house. But after a while, I noticed there was some popping, there was some shifting. Oh my goodness, what's going on with my floor? Should I fill in the gaps? Or should I find out why is that happening? And this actually got me thinking about marriages, especially when it comes to sex. Our first instinct was to get a dehumidifier, and it's a quick fix. We can pull out some of that moisture. But before we actually fill in the gaps, we need to understand why. And couples, when they get married, they have these fresh expectations of what their life is going to be like, especially for sex. But when things don't go like you hoped, do you complain? Do you find a quick fix? Or do you dig deeper and find out why? So today I'm going to talk about sex expectations. We are going to answer the question, how do you deal with differences and disappointments when sex doesn't go the way you expected? And, there is some significant pain that happens. And if you're going through this pain, it may bring you to a halt. Pain usually stops us in our tracks. So listen to this list. See if you have experienced any of these things. It might help you to understand why you haven't dug any deeper to figure out what's going on. First of all, you might feel confused, like, I thought we both wanted this. Did something change? You might feel surprised. I assumed that this meant one thing, and now I realize it didn't mean the same thing for you. I feel used. You might feel sad. It's not romantic anymore. It just feels like a transaction, like two bodies that are together. That's not what I thought sex was going to be like in marriage. You might feel misunderstood. How did I not know your expectations? Or how did you not know mine? Did we really not communicate that well? And then lastly, you might feel rejected, like, if we're not the same, does that mean I'm not enough? Wow, any one of those can set you in a tailspin and actually derail you from getting to the root of the problem. And when people try quick fixes when they're in pain, it is not something that's going to serve you well. So let me give you some encouragement and an explanation. First of all, you need to know it's normal to have differences. Yes, I have to repeat that. It's normal to have differences. There are so many reasons why. You could have different religious views. You could have different past experiences, including trauma in your past. It could be about your season in life. It could be gender issues. There are countless reasons why you and your spouse have differences and different expectations for sex. And it's normal. Now, might be frustrating, and that frustration might turn to hurt. It might cause a block. But I'm hoping just knowing that it's normal will give you some fresh courage to jump back in and to figure out why. I want you to listen to these two practical tips. First of all, believe that what you want does matter. Absolutely. Your voice counts. Your preferences, your desires, your dreams, your goals, they all count. We don't want you to just disappear into your spouse's preferences. Your needs, your comfort, and your boundaries are valid. My second tip for you is to make space to hear your spouse's preferences. Just like you want to be heard, you also get to extend that to your spouse. This will require that you listen without defensiveness. You may want to be, but. So, not right now, okay? Listening and responding are two different parts of that communication cycle. I'm going to challenge you. Look for the middle ground, and you may feel like, but I tried, but that's what I thought I was doing. So I'm going to call your attention to a familiar passage of Scripture, but maybe you can consider this with fresh eyes, and that is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. We know this as the love chapter. It's often read at weddings. But the heart of this is that love adapts. If your spouse is struggling, is in pain, has needs, you can adapt. And we are hoping that that is reciprocated. So dive into that scripture, ask God, what would adapting look like? And God will definitely give you some more steps there. I have a reminder for you that God's design for sexual intimacy is good. And maybe you haven't experienced all the good yet. That's why you need to be reminded. It is a lifelong gift for you. So you have some time to figure this out. You know, when I talk about God's original design for sex in marriage, I use the acronym GIFTS. Yes, it's the word gifts. And each one of those letters represent a characteristic of God's design for sex in marriage. And when we get to the T of the word gifts, that's where I'm focusing today. And that stands for timeless. Your role in sexual intimacy with your spouse, it's timeless because in God's design, you have committed to a lifelong marriage. I'm not saying a lifelong sentence. That's why we are always for prompting ways to improve communication, ways to deal with some of those deeper issues. We're not just going, this is how it is, it'll never change. No, no, no. But the beauty of that is that you have your entire married life to grow your closeness. You won't get it figured out overnight. There was really no realistic expectation to think you would have understood everything before you got married. So it's not bad on you, okay? This is real marriage. This is real relationships. And thankfully, this is God's real provision for you. Now, you still might want some help starting those tough talks, those delicate conversations. Wow. And sex definitely falls in that category. So I have a guide I'd love to get into your hands. It's free. It's called 10 Tips to Start Tough Talks. Hey, I made the name a tongue twister to let you know I understand there is a lot of pain and awkwardness in these situations, but I promise you that the tips will help you out. So just look for that in the comments below, the description. You can find the link for 10 tips to start tough talks. Thanks so much for joining me today. And remember, God's design for a thriving marriage is an intimate connection in spirit, soul, and body.